Alright, one of the hardest things to manage in bow fishing is storage on your boat. So, I've come up with this to keep the bows up off the floor, out of the way. They ain't getting kicked, they ain't getting stepped on. It's one of the most expensive things you probably got going fishing with you. The way this works is that you pull up on this cord, it opens it up, and then when you let down, the bungee cord pulls it back down and it pinches on the limbs of your bows and it holds it steady. So why don't we go make one? Tools you will need is an angle grinder and a cutoff wheel. You can get by without the grinder disc or the flap wheel, but I'm going to use them. You'll need a 1/2 inch drill bit. You'll need a 5/16 inch drill bit. I've got this one here just to drill pilot holes. You'll need some flat metal. This is 1¼ inch by 1/8 thick, but 48 inches long. That 48 inches will get you one bowl holder out of it. I'm gonna weld these pins on. If you don't have access to a welder, you can do bolts. Make sure you get you a bolt with enough smooth on it that you can cut the head off and your limbs will sit on the smooth, because you don't want the threads scratching up your limbs. Even though we're going to coat it with rubber, you don't want it. I've got a welder, so I'm going to cut this 1/2 inch and weld it into place. So we're going to need to cut a few pieces out. On this flat metal, we're going to need 3 pieces of it. We're going to need 2 at 8.5 and 1 at 24 inches. I'm going to go ahead and get those cut real quick and I'll get back with you. Alright, now that we've got all our pieces cut, we need to mark a spot for a hole 1 inch from each end of the long piece and 1 inch from one end of each of the short pieces. So we'll have 4 holes to drill right now. Let me get those marked up and I'll get back with you to drill them. Alright, I marked 1 inch in the center of all 4 spots we've got to drill. This is where I'm going to put the 1/2 inch holes for this rod. Like I said, if you're using a 3/8 inch bolt with a shoulder, you'd want to drill 3/8 inch holes, but I'd go with 1/2 because it makes me feel like it's just going to be stronger and better. Alright, the next holes we're going to have to drill out are for the hinges. We're going to have to drill all 4 pieces of metal again. And on the big one, we need to come in 3 inches from the end, not this hole, but 3 inches from the end. And on these little ones from the end, we're going to come in 4 1/4. I'll go ahead and get them marked out and drilled up and get back with you. If you're going to be using this style of bolts, you're pretty close to done now. So what I just did is I drilled 5/16 inch holes through there, and also put some down here towards the bottom corner of each one, so where we could hook a bungee cord in. Not welding it. Like I said, you could run your 1/2 inch bolts through there. This way, you put a nut on it, drop it through, put a nut on it, and then cut the head off, and then coat it in rubber. And for the hinges, you just go ahead and throw these in. Put you a lock nut on it so don't back off, cut it off. You've got your pins there, you've got your hinge, put your bungee on the bottom, and a rope on the top, and you're done. But I'm welding them in, so I'm going to cut this 1/2 inch rod, get those cut, and I want 2 of these at 3 inches, and I want 2 of them at 2 5/8. Alright, now that I've got those 4 pieces cut, I'm going to go ahead and take that flat disc on that grinder and clean all these burrs and stuff up like that. Just knock all that stuff off. Get that cleaned up so it's easier to work with, no sharp edges. So now all I've got left to do is, now I've got these 4 pieces cut, all I've got left to do is weld these into place, and these 2 bolts. Now these 2 long ones go in the back plate, and the 2 shorter ones will go in the front one. Again, if you're just using bolts, cut them off at the same length and you're good. I'm going to go ahead and get set up and get these welded into place though. Alright, now that we've got the pins welded on, and my bolts welded on, we're gonna go ahead and take that grinder and clean up these back edges of these nasty welds. So now all that's left to do is throw you some plastic washers on. All I've got right now is these, so this is just temporary. Put that together. Put you a locking nut on here, not one of these. We'll rubber coat these in so they don't tear up your bow. We'll get some bungee cord on there and a string on there, and that's it. I put hooks for the bungee cord on this one. I don't recommend it. I recommend drilling holes like I just did and using the hooks that are on bungee cords, or if you've got this tubing like this, just go through it before you tie it off and get you something up top. This is just paracord, but you can use whatever kind of strong string you got.